Welcome to the Wilmington Railroad Museum. My name is Rebecca Carmichael. I used to work here, and now I'm a proud part of the board of directors. We as a museum are turning 45 years old this year, and we want to tell you a bit more about how we got here. We as a museum are privileged to have such a unique location, and to learn more about that, we're going to be talking to the director.
My name is Holly Saperstein. I'm the executive director of the Wilmington Railroad Museum. We are in an 1883 freight house, one of the last buildings that was owned by initially the Wilmington and Weldon. The slates on the roof of this building used to say W&W for the Wilmington and Weldon, which was at that time the longest railroad in the world at 161.5 miles. We were a railroad hub, a railroad corporate office, a railroad-centered town. And it's important to talk about the history because railroad, including those initial railroads like the Wilmington and Weldon, they changed everything. It was the biggest change in transportation in over 5,000 years. It's important for us to continue to take the history and bring it to people through both education and some entertaining things like our layouts and fun things we have for children to do. Around 1900, it became the Atlantic Coastline Railroad as they merged with other smaller railroads in the area post-Civil War. And at that time, it was the employer you wanted to work with. The whole town really relied on the income that was coming in, because if you didn't work for the railroad, you certainly were a service to people who worked for the railroad, or you supplied supplies to the railroad, or families who worked for the railroad came in and shopped in your businesses, or came and ate in your restaurant, or had a tankard of beer at your saloon. Wilmington totally relied on this history. Around the 1950s, the late 1950s, the Atlantic Coastline blew everybody away by announcing that they were going to relocate down to Jacksonville, Florida. It had been in the works for quite some time, but at that time, Champ Davis kept pushing back on it because this was his hometown. He wanted the railroad to stay here. But financially and logistically, it made more sense to go to Jacksonville. It was a straight shot. The whole operation relocated down to Jacksonville. It was the biggest relocation of employees to this day, corporate-wise, in the world. Over 900 families, positions, everything were relocated by train down to Jacksonville, Florida, where they reemployed those families. But there were a number of families who were left behind, who worked through the ACL, who are now out of work. And all of those businesses that relied on the ACL for their income were also devastated by it. It was quite some time before Wilmington really recovered from that huge change. As the railroad celebrates its 45th anniversary here, we look back on the history of the museum, starting initially in the Dudley Mansion downtown when it was part of historic Wilmington, and then moving to the three-story building across the way, the old freight offices, and then to this building in 2006. A lot more people are walking by and exposed to the museum, especially seeing a big red caboose outside and the 113-year-old locomotive that's out there. It'll be 114 in a month. The museum has become one of the top 10 attractions in New Hanover County. We are very excited about that. Last year, we welcomed over 32,000 visitors through our doors. We offer programming, free programming to the public, guest speakers on a monthly basis. We also have programming for children on the autism spectrum, and we are very excited to partner with the Children's Museum as well for our members. We are definitely a vital part of Wilmington and the attractions and museums and preservation.
From humble beginnings, we are now taking up the majority of the original warehouse space. And to learn more about that, we're going to be talking to our curator.
I'm Rebecca Rose. When I was moving here to Wilmington to start my master's in public history at UNCW, I was looking for a small museum job, and this is where I landed. This is the artifact collection room. So everything in here, it is something that is not paper, or at least not 90% paper, so it doesn't need to have as much protection as some of the more archival matter that we have in the collection. This is one of the small projects that I'm working on, tagging and numbering all of these so that we have an accurate list of everything that we have. This is our 45th anniversary exhibit. I pulled some pictures of the three founders, Hazel Morse there at the top, then Gerda Wooten and Margaret James. During the early years, the museum had free admission and was supported solely off of membership sales. Our steam engine through the years, and then the ACL buildings that the museum has been in over the past 45 years, and just how the museum has worked to preserve these pieces of history in downtown Wilmington. The things that the museum has been able to do in the past 2 years have been significant. One of those is renewing our lease with the city to get the entire length of this warehouse, which is how we were able to start utilizing this space as collection storage. A heart project's not the right word, but just very meaningful, the work that's being done here and seeing it all come together.
Now that we've learned about the history of the museum, we're going to be talking about the future, our culture as a museum, and where we're going. And what better place to do that in our model train hall.
My name is Ron Guillaume. I am Vice President of the Board of Directors. I help keep the trains running, keep maintaining the trains. I also do some of the maintenance on the building and keep everything running so when everyone comes in, everything looks great and looks like a lot of fun. My wife and I saw the caboose and the steam engine out front and we were like, oh, I've always loved trains. So my wife Donna said, we have to come visit here, we have to come visit here. We came through, we visited the museum. And once we visited the museum, it was like, you take volunteers? And it's like, yes, we do. So I filled out the form and said I would gladly volunteer, and I've been volunteering here for over 4 years. I think initially when children drive by the museum, they see the train outside and they say, oh, can we go see that? Can we go see that? And they come in and they're all excited because there's a train and 2 trains in the gift shop, and they enjoy seeing those. I don't think the children is involved or excited about seeing the history hall, but once they get into the children's hall, into the main, train room, they're all excited. And what it turns into is the children are supposed to be having fun and the adults are supposed to be watching the children. And oftentimes it turns into the parents are enjoying the history part. And once they see the trains, it brings back memories of, oh, I remember having a train like this when I was little, or my grandfather had a train like this. And then you stand back and you watch the children and the parents or the grandparents, and it's almost impossible to tell who's having more fun. I think the adults enjoy the museum just as much as the kids. I think it's a very welcoming, fun, friendly culture. So from the time you walk in the front door and the people who will admit you to the museum, explain what is here at the museum, how to get the most out of it. And for the volunteers who maintain the trains, or just everyone involved, it's a fun atmosphere. I think it's a really exciting time right now. We're in the process of updating a lot of our history cases. This is our 45th anniversary of the year this year, and we hope everyone joins us in September to help us celebrate the 45th anniversary. We're also got permission to use more of this building, and we've expanded the building further down. We're hoping to bring in another history hall and to make more of our trains visible. We have a room that is available for renting, for our own meetings, and for people who have parties they would like to plan. We're growing, and we're excited about that.
Thank you for joining us for this look at our last 45 years at the Wilmington Railroad Museum. We hope to see you soon.